Well, what is going on, guys, and welcome into the video. So, China is going to collapse in 21 days, and the Fed is going to start quantitative tightening, which will suck trillions out of the stock market ASAP. Rates are going to go up, crushing businesses and consumers and destroying the economy, but they can't raise them enough to stop inflation, so the US will see hyperinflation like Venezuela, and so the US will follow China in 55 days. And I will give you my very specific, very scientific predictions for all this and your stocks at the end. So a bit of a rant style video here, but I think you guys need to hear it so you can be prepared for all the pending doom and apocalypse that is just days away. So make sure you like the video, since it may be the last time you get a chance to like my videos, because my YouTube pay went from an incredible and amazing $2,000 a month, and mind you, that is before taxes and the half that I give away to charity, which means I only take home, I don't know, around $600 or so per month for about 160 hours worth of work. So it went from $2,000 to $1,400, which means I only take home about $400 for an entire month, which means the next month, according to the trend line and all the charts and all the graphs and all the little indicators, it clearly shows YouTube will start charging me to upload videos, and I may not be able to afford to upload them by the end of the year, because according to all those charts and graphs, it's going to cost me around $2,000 per video to upload. That's what the charts and indicators show, people, so stick with me here. But on to the matter at hand, and let's start with China collapsing in 21 days because some random guy on YouTube or whatever the media was of the day have always known the exact date the second greatest economy in the history of the world will collapse. Makes perfect sense, right? I mean, a massive country the entire world's economy depends on, and the US is completely and 100% tied to the hip to, is somehow going to collapse in a very specific time frame, and the US and any of the rest of the world players will just stand by and do nothing as all their countries implode too, right? Seems plausible, except it's actually not at all. I mean, I'm all for a good alien conspiracy theory or something like that, but I prefer to keep my investing out of the conspiracy realm personally. Now, I agree, China has significant risk. I agree completely there. They are having systemic issues in multiple markets. But we are also ignoring the fact that China will just do exactly what the US did to dig itself out of its systemic risk that actually almost took down the entire world's financial system in 2008 and 2009.
But Luke, China can't do that.
Really? I mean, they already manipulate their currency just like the US does, and last time I checked, the rule book for how to run your country does not specifically state that they cannot do it. And no, by the way, guys, there is no actual rule book. Everyone has to play ball with China to some degree, just like everyone has to with the US, and China can just create or make up some new form of monetary stimulus to bail themselves out of this and then pay themselves back eventually. Maybe, I guess we still haven't paid ourselves back. Anyways, they still can do all that sort of stuff just like the US did back in 2008. And speaking of making up stuff to further prop up your economy and break every financial model that exists, making modeling almost useless, let's talk about quantitative tightening and all that good stuff, since there was a heavy discussion in my group this weekend about it, so I figured I could talk about it here too, because if I'm hearing it in there, guys, I assume you guys are probably hearing a lot of noise about it too. It was introduced as quantitative easing after the financial crisis as another tool the Fed can use to prop up the economy during a crisis. And just to be clear here, guys, it is something that is experimental and made up. It has never been done. So there is zero evidence as to how it works, through the full use of it, basically using it and then retracting it back. There is zero evidence out there for it. 4 years after it was introduced, the top economists around the world had models showing projections all over the place about what the short and long-term effects were going to be. But all of them admitted it was an experimental policy, and nobody knew what the actual impact would be, how well it would work, if it would work, what the long-term impacts were, what happens when we go to tightening, or anything else. Nobody knew. And like what usually happens with economists, they got some right, but a lot wrong, because it's a manipulation of the market in the first place. So any model or rules you try to apply to it don't work because it's a manipulation in the first place. And when you have manipulation, models become, honestly, quite useless. And let me give you an example. You can effectively model out if a stock is trading at $100 and you put in your order at 100 and Dirty Dan on the other side puts in his order for 100, you both should fill around $100 or so. All of your models that you make based on that will point to that being the most likely outcome. I mean, sure, maybe you get 99 and he gets 101, but it's in the ballpark and the model works in that scenario. But what happens to the model if Mike the market manipulator is manipulating things and lets Dirty Dan buy for 65 while you have to pay 115 at the same freaking time for the same stock? At that stage, the model is broken because the market itself is being controlled by a manipulator. And that is what the Fed is doing when it comes to these experimental policies. They control it, they can start or stop or do nothing or just let it sit or even do the unthinkable, unwind one through quantitative tightening in this scenario while creating a whole new instrument altogether, just like when they invented quantitative easing in the first place. So on to prediction time now, since that is the fashionable thing to do nowadays, and if I make 95 predictions, I will probably be right on one of them, and then I can make video after video telling you how right I was the whole time, and if I still don't get it right, I will just push my predictions out to next year and say I technically wasn't wrong because this new chart says this and proves that I'm right just, next year. And besides, 96 times I'm accurately predicted the past 2 events based on all that data. I mean, why would I be wrong this time too? So here are my predictions. China will figure it out, but not without big missteps, and has a long road ahead of itself, just like the US in 2008, 2009. And I also predict a media and YouTube freak out when they start to bail themselves out or whatever they choose to do to solve the situation. I also predict the stock market will have many declines in the coming months. I mean, the market does not go down in a straight line, and it does not go up in a straight line either, and this has been a ridiculous move up over the past couple of months, so it's due for a pullback or a breather. And yes, my grandma saw this pullback coming, and I don't even have a grandma. Now, do we go back down to all-time lows? Do we go down lower? Do we go down, but not close to the lows in June? I have no idea, and neither does anyone else with any certainty. But I do know some stocks I own will make new lows, and some may dip but not make new lows, and a few, maybe just 1 or 2, will be flat or maybe even rally during this time. I know, that's mind-blowing and great analysis, but the truth is I can throw up a million charts and graphs and indicators and they are wrong more than they are right, and trying to apply an S&P chart with an indicator from 1975 and then use the 1980 recession and draw a bunch of lines and conclusions from all that sort of stuff tells me nothing about how Tesla is executing as a business. It tells me absolutely zero about Google's revenue next quarter, and it's absolutely worthless in predicting if Palantir's sales team can get the ball rolling finally and start bringing in clients, so I don't freaking care, and I honestly don't care about the share price either in the short term. I care about how the business is operating, not how Wall Street is trading the stock. They are oftentimes kind of decoupled altogether anyways, and it's not always to the downside either, guys. It can get decoupled and be grossly overvalued too. I will happily buy a stock where the company is performing great and the stock price is beaten down and undervalued, but I have to be honest with you guys here today. I hope Michael Burry and everyone predicting Tesla stock crashing and Apple stock crashing are completely right. I hope all those indicators and charts and graphs and models and projections are finally right because I want more discounts. And yes, I hope the S&P falls another 50% like some are predicting, and I hope Tesla falls to 420 like some predicted or even lower, and I hope Apple hits $90 mark as predicted because as a long-term investor, I will make a ton of money on the back end of all this. So the only real predictions you will ever hear from me is if you ignore the noise, buy great stocks at undervalued prices, and continue to buy the dip in those stocks, you will be very happy you did it in 5 to 10 years from now or whenever that future time is for you. Now, how do I know? Because this is my 4th crash I have invested in. And the first one, which was the tech bubble, I listened to the noise and all the data and all the charts and all the indicators and regretted every bit of it. But for each crash after that, I bought and bought and bought through the entire crash and the rally into the next bull run and have been very pleased with the results, so I will continue to do it again. This time it's different, has been a losing strategy for over 20 years plus that I've been doing this, so I will stick with what works. So hopefully this was helpful, and if you want a team of investors helping you through all this madness and ignoring all that noise and all that other crap, and you don't know how to get a price target or how to do evaluation, and you want a step-by-step process for doing that, building wealth, and you want direct access to me and much more, remember to check out the pinned comment to become a member and at least look at everything you get. And click this video here for the stocks I'm buying in this market, and click here for exactly what I'm doing to make huge money in this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.